Oh, I was jamming out there. Okay, thank you, Amy, for joining me on that little dancing gig. So I've got my party hair up going on. So there you go. You're welcome, everybody. All right, happy Wednesday, and more importantly, happy Veterans Day. So I know that we said it this morning in scripts at, kind of jumping straight into the meat and potatoes of this, because obviously we want to give Ashley Lunn enough time to do her market stats. Jumping right into the gratitudes here. Just wanted to take a hot second to say everybody that has served our country, that is currently serving our country, anybody that's affiliated with this office, and anybody that you know that's not affiliated with us, it really does mean a lot for us to have our freedoms that we do, and we definitely dedicate that to those that have served our country. So on the count of three, I'm going to see how this goes, right? But everybody unmute yourselves. And I just want us to all have this outpour of just gratitude by saying thank you on the count of three to all of our veterans that have served and are currently serving. Count of three, let's give a nice warm thank you. 1, 2, 3.
Thank
you so much for your service.
Yes. Awesome, guys. We owe everything, literally everything to you guys. So, and guys and gals. So thank you. All right. And then going back into the regular logistics. Yes, we are Facebook Live. We are live on YouTube as well. If you have not subscribed to that, I was harping on you guys for not subscribing for a while, and I realized that I wasn't subscribed. So I did that last week. You're welcome as well. Anywho, keeping on. I want to open up the floor and share a gratitude, something that you're grateful for. Let's keep those good vibes going.
I can start.
Go for it, Amy.
All right. So I want to express my gratitude to everybody in our Keller Williams family. A couple experiences that I had yesterday just kind of reminded me of how grateful I am and how blessed all of us are to have one another, not just during COVID, but really anytime. And I just want all of you to know how much I appreciate you all and I love you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Ah, that's nice. All right. One more person. Top that, though. One more piece of gratitude.
I have to.
Yes, Mindy.
I have to thank Pegasus for all of her just positive vibes and everything. I thought my transaction was fully dead, and she just gave me the hope, and it's come to pass.
It keeps on giving.
I know. Just it came to pass, and Broker Bob, she says, go talk to Broker Bob. And it's back on track.
Yes, awesome. Well, that's amazing. Well, it looks like you're going to go on safari, though. I'm loving it out there. So I love your outfit. Looking fabulous as always. And thank you for the gratitude. All right, wanting to also introduce that the newest Metro family member, Madison. We've seen her. Welcome. We've seen her in script. She's been engaging for quite some time now. Her license finally posted, and she is already ready to rock and roll. So when you see her, give her a nice high five. Also wanting to give a little reminder on the training coming up. Sorry, Evie's like pointing and saying, stick to the agenda, Stephen. So the upcoming training calendar, Ignite, is still happening Tuesdays through Friday from 10 until noon. So we've shortened it, again, Tuesday through Friday, 10 until noon. And then please register for the Business Planning Clinic.
We're done.
We're done with that.
I did not.
That was last week.
That was last week.
I was going to say, I was like, is there another one? Evie's telling me to follow the agenda and I'm following it.
I missed that one. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
It's all good.
We're
well,
good.
All right.
Every day.
Scripts,
Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yep. Scripts are still going on Tuesday through Friday with myself and Coach K. So if you have not been participating, we've been really focusing in on the objections as far as wanting to wait, needing to do renovations, every excuse that you can throw out there, we're finding ways to pivot around them. So if you've not engaged, make sure to, please. Also, in regards to any of our tech training, if anybody is stuck, Salma has absolutely been a saving grace. Clarissa being able to pass the baton has been such a wonderful blessing, and Clarissa's still helping out with that, yet bringing on Salma to really piece all the technology together, even when it seems clunky, she really does simplify it. So Salma, thank you for all of the trainings that you do. That will still be ongoing.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, right after Ignite.
Perfect. Okay, so 1 o'clock tomorrow is going to be her next upcoming training. And don't be shy. If you're looking for a little one-on-one time, make sure to reach out as well. All right. So next up, I'd like to give it over to our S&P Spotlight. Our favorites, Deborah and Gary, talk to us with Old Republic.
Hi, you guys. Hey,
Hey,
Gary,
how
how
we-
are you? Hi, yeah, we're both here. First of all, I just want to sincerely say thank you so much for all the business that you do send our way. We really appreciate it very, very much. It just means so much to us. We only have 5 minutes, so we're going to be quick. A couple of Zoom slides. We're going to have a drawing at the end for a really great pasta basket, and
Yay.
I'll tell you how to win it at the end. And also, we're going to be having a Zoom class on December 8th, where we'll really get involved in your home warranty plan through Crest and benefits and things like that for you.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll take a much deeper dive into it. So it'll be good stuff.
Yeah, and
Sure.
so there, go ahead, Gary.
All right. So a couple of things we want to touch base with you guys on today. And hello, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. The whole thing concept is about ordering correctly. A lot of times you have, you'll sit there and say, hey, I've got $300 or $500 upgraded plan. Well, that's, home warranties have come a long way, and every home is different. So it's really important you understand that home before you go to order the home warranty. Know that it has AC. You need the refrigerator staying. The washer and dryer is brand new. Understand the components and how they relate to the home warranty. So, just digest that, take that time, because what happens is down the road, if it's ordered incorrectly, you're going to have headaches. And the whole concept with home warranty is to kind of keep that transaction as smooth as possible with that first year. And, if there is service and we come through with flying colors, you're going to hear about it, and we're going to tell you, and you can go to your client. It's a reason to touch them as well. So either way, there's lots of moving parts, but you have up to 60 days after the close of escrow to change any sort of coverage if you forget. And if it's always written in the RPA, we will backdate the coverage. You have to pay for it, but and that's pretty much it. It's just a matter of really taking the time there. I think the next slide is real important. Deb, you're going to go for that one?
Yeah, you should order a home warranty plan yourself, or have the TC order it for you if you can, if you have a TC, but you can place orders online through our toolbox 24 hours a day. So anytime, night and day. It's really nice because you can track and manage your order. You can send and receive email information confirmations. You can automatically send your clients a PDF, update and modify closing information. And then at that point, you also take control to make sure you order the Crest plan, which has a lot of benefits for you. And Gary may want to speak on that for about 1 quick minute, and then we'll get into our drawing. But
yeah. So the whole idea is you initiate the order, because you have a co-op and the initiating side. So the thing is, if you initiate the order, you're securing those Crest benefits that you guys have, because your E&O is with Crest. So there's a really important, like I said, we'll go into that much more later on down the road. But the whole concept is, if you guys initiate the order, make sure it's correct, it's a win-win. I think that's about it, Deb.
Okay, next slide.
All
Do you have
right.
our slide at the end?
Any questions?
Oh, any questions? So this is Gary and I. We're here to help you anytime. Pay attention. You can email us. You can call us. So for the gift basket, Gary, take down the slide.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, whatever you want. For the gift basket, the first person that texts me at my cell, your name and the word winner, then I will call you back and make arrangements to get you the gift basket from Old Republic. How's that?
Perfect.
So you guys have my cell number?
I know, and everybody's like, where would it go?
Somebody's working on it.
Slide back up.
Well, the whole concept there is to save it in your phone. So you always have our cells
Oh,
in your
Debbie
phone.
Giametti. See,
Yay, Debbie,
Yeah,
congratulations.
you got it. She's winner, chicken dinner.
All
We'll
right.
make arrangements, Deb. I'll call you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you,
Love it.
guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
So yeah, make sure. So a couple different things just to kind of recap.
Yeah.
So Selma just put her Calendly link in the chat box. So if you have not scheduled a one-on-one with her yet, please do so. And then as far as Deborah and Gary go, at least hear them out as far as the value that they really provide for your clients. It's massive. So thank you guys for being a part of us. Broker Bob, you want to give us an update on the launch and growth coaching?
Thank you, Stephen. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Glad to see 57 people on today's call so far. Big shout out for Alicia's coaching roster. Her team, Madison Koval, joined in launch program. Welcome aboard, Madison. Cassidy, in growth, opened an escrow. Great job, Cassidy. And Eric Harris closed an escrow on new construction property. There are still new construction properties in San Diego, and he's in growth. On Team Carl, Kendral Sherrod. Oh, I'm going to screw that up. Okay, great. Welcome.
Kendall.
Opened his first escrow in San Diego. I guess he's from Virginia. And then Matt Thornburg picked up a BRE and set 2 appointments. And congratulations to Alex, who secured a new buyer with a BRE. Quick little broker, great job, everybody. Quick little broker update. Next Wednesday at Risk Management, we're going to be discussing 2 things that are still the things that are important: escalation clauses, as well as oh God, I'm forgetting it. But anyway, that's the preview on it. But what I really wanted to say is we are now in purple tier in San Diego, and I get in a lot of questions. What does that mean? Technically, it doesn't mean anything right now because we are considered essential business services. So we are still able to operate. But here's what the important part is. If we start seeing cases rise and the governor's office and the Department of Public Health and OSHA, they are watching the real estate business to make sure agents are doing the right thing. So it's time for us as a community to step up and step out. And if you see other agents not doing the right thing, to remind them of what the right thing is to do to operate in this environment, because we do not want to be shut down. We just don't. And so we just have to be the police for the other agents in the industry that aren't doing it. So please, please, please do that, and then take care of yourself. So far, we are still going to have the office open. We will be talking as a staff tomorrow about what that means if we need to limit stuff within the office, but it still is open. Mask is mandatory to be inside our office in the common areas and to even enter the office. If you have an office, you can go into that office and take your mask off. But for right now, a mask is mandatory. With cold and flu season coming up, we don't know where this is going. All right, be safe, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you, Broker Bob. Next up, we're going to pass this over to Bridget Potterton, head chair of the Culture Committee. Talk to us, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Stephen. First of all, I just want to give a quick shout out. I don't thank them enough, but I would like to give a shout out to the amazing Culture Committee we have at Metro. Susan, Amy, Vinny, Claudine, Kathy Jackson, and of course Eve. Yes, yes. Anyway, and my assistant here as well, of course. But thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are working so hard. I appreciate you so much. Speaking of, we have a couple of events coming up. One is our holiday party. Thank you so much for your patience with that. We were struggling with what to do. We finally have a plan. We're really excited about it. I'd like to introduce you to Keller's Christmas Kwanzaa Cranky Bash. That is going to be our holiday party for our Metro office here, Wednesday, December 9th at 2:30. We'll be giving you more details as you come. The only thing you need to do to prepare is get ready with some ugly Christmas sweaters or even some pretty ones, whatever you want to wear. So it's not going to be a fancy party. You wear what you want, wear your pajamas, and we'll give you more details. I'm going to be turning it over now to Broker Bob and Susan to talk about our next couple events we have coming up. So thank you, Broker Bob and Susan.
Thank you, Bridget. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. All right, Bridget, just by the way, is Summer doing her real estate classes online, or is she just mimicking you being on the phone?
She's ready to go out there and sell houses now.
Well, how far is she before she sits for the state exam? That's what I want to know.
Only 16 years.
All right, I see you've got her in training already. So I approached Bridget this year in the culture committee this year to ask them about what can we do to still give back. We've done Red Day earlier this year where we raised $5,000 for the LGBTQ Center. And our goal was to do 10. And I asked them, do you think we can do something in regards to Giving Tuesday, which is done on the first Tuesday of every December? So of course I reached out to Bridget and the culture committee and they all said, yes, let's do exactly what we did for Red Day. So on Tuesday, December 1st, we're going to do Giving Tuesday to benefit the center again. And we're going to do the format. If you weren't with us earlier when we did this in May, what we did was we did a telethon fundraiser comedy show, singers and actors and dancers, etc., come and do their goods all over on Facebook Live. So we'll be streaming a telethon sort of from 10 to 2 on Facebook, Tuesday, December 1st. And we will have various acts to highlight that. And we'll have some people from the center interviewed about what the center really needs. And they're a nonprofit foundation and they definitely need every foundation has been hurt during this time of COVID. And the time is greater now than anything for organizations like this that actually go out and give back to the community. So we thought it'd be something great to do in December. So it's 4 hours. How do you participate? What you can do on that date, what we ask you, and we'll send out information on all this, but you can do pre-templated emails, send it out to your database to announce the event, post on social media, and we'll have instructions on how to do what's called a watch party from our Keller Williams Metro Facebook page to your page. And the whole concept is for it to go viral. If we have all 300 of you doing a watch party, it will go out to your sphere of influence. And it shows that you're doing your part to give back during this horrific time we're all in and everybody needs something to step up to. And I always say, if you are having a bad day, go out and make somebody else's life better by doing something for them. And I always get a lot of gratification by doing that. I've given to the center and worked in the center. We have a lot of people that have helped raise money for the center every year. And we hope that you will participate this year. And it's very simple. You got to click a few buttons and then get your database and sphere of influence showing what you're doing to help during this time. Now, without further ado, Susan.
Thank you, Robert. And on that same vein of ways to reach out, we talked about doing something with baking and trying to figure out something fun. And in processing through that, we decided why not bake for people that don't get to bake for themselves. So we're going to have a cookie drive that's going to go to the a church down in Ocean Beach who feeds the homeless. I think I mentioned before, we used to feed them every other week, once a week, so basically twice a month. And then COVID hit and we are now feeding them twice a week, every week. So we've decided to do on December 8th, they get served on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm hoping that you guys will maybe spend a little time on Sunday, the 6th, doing some baking. And then I'm going to deliver down to Sacred Heart in Ocean Beach on Tuesday, the 8th. So this is what we'd like to see happen is you don't have to bake a ton of cookies. If everybody just does some, we'll have a nice offering. The hope is that you will deliver them either to my home on Monday the 7th or to the office if that's easier. I live in Ocean Beach as well, to the office before noon on Tuesday the 8th. And we'll pull together something, a little visual to kind of give you the dates. But if you have the time that weekend before to do a little baking, we would love to really, so we feed them food, but there is something about sweets. Not only do I love them, but people that live on the streets absolutely love to get sweets. And when they're homemade it just sends them over. You can't even imagine. There's just such joy. So my hope would be, I'm going to go a little step further if you are so inclined, and if you're not, I will do it. But these get repackaged in little baggies of, if they're big cookies, 2, if they're small cookies, 3 or 4. So when you do your baking, if you wouldn't mind, also, packaging them in little individual bags where they'll be ready to just start distributing, that would be super helpful. And again, if you cannot, I will be happily do it. So put it on your calendars to do some baking the first weekend of December and deliver them. Again, the flyer will have an address for me if you want to drop them here, or I will plan to go to the office at noon on Tuesday. Delivery starts at 3. So if everybody could just, shoot them there, shoot me a text, maybe Ariana can shoot me a text, but let's just try to make it a real big cookie fest. And if we have too many to give out, we will give out the balance on Thursday. So it'll just really make a huge handful of people, usually between 70 and 120, depending on the week. Really, really happy. And if there's too many, we'll do it twice that week. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate your contributions.
Susan, do you want the cookies in like sandwich bags or in like the bags you can get at the Container Store by Fashion Valley, where they're like nice little cookie?
No. Don't go fancy. Just a little Ziploc bag, just the snack size Ziploc or the sandwich size. Just seal it up, and I'll just have, if you deliver your box of multiple bags, they'll be ready to go. It does not have to be fancy. You can go as fancy as you want if that's your thing. I'm more practical. Do whatever works for you. But no, they do not have to be decorated. The cookies, make whatever kind you want, but Ziploc bag is perfect.
Well, thank you guys, like Susan, Bridget, the entire culture committee. Thank you guys for putting that together. And again, success, it only means so much monetarily, but when we're able to actually give back and contribute to the less fortunate, that's something that creates a well-balanced life overall. So thank you guys for organizing that for the less fortunate. Wanting to just catch everything else back up. Also in regards to contribution, Movement Mortgage. So they're not able to get together, obviously, this year to celebrate the holidays. So they're doing what they're calling like a drive-by pumpkin pie. So on Monday, you like that, Eddie? On Monday, November the 16th, between 12 and 2, Monday, November 16th, 12 to 2, drive-by pumpkin pie. They're giving out 50 pumpkin pies. So make sure to come by and get your sweet tooth on. So thank you, Movement Mortgage, Eddie, Wes, Amanda. Thank you guys for all that you do for our office and just giving back. This is the giving season. So thank y'all. Any property pitches that you guys have, please make sure to post those in the inter-office page. I would like to pass this over at this time to the real star of the show, Ashley Lunn. Take it away.
All right. How is everybody dealing with our weirdness right now? It's been a weird couple weeks, hasn't it? MLS issues still happening. It's been so totally fun. I decided I had to surround myself with things that make me happy and make me smile all day. So there's my little Groot. He's growing a nice little plant out of his head. Anyway, that was my tip for the week. Put things around you that make you laugh. These stats are not going to make you laugh today. Okay, so somebody explain what the 90-day real estate cycle is.
What you do now pays dividend 90 days from now.
Yep. So on the slide, hopefully you can see Happy Valentine's Day. That for those of us who know, what date would that be?
February the 14th.
Very good, Mehdi. Yeah, so we're at the 11th of November. What you're doing today is likely going to show up then. So if you want a good Valentine's Day, hopefully you are lead generating and maybe on some dating sites. I don't know. All right, so let's jump in. How many of you, let me see your hands, have had an MLS issue in the last month? Yeah. I have more gray hair because of this, and so many of them so many of the issues that you guys have reported to me, I can't replicate, or I can replicate, but then I can't do it the second time. And the same thing happened for stats. I usually spend about 5 hours pulling everything together and creating this. And I got to one of the points this weekend where a lot of bad words were coming out of my body. And I just shut it all down. And so I started again yesterday and finished this morning, and have had to do, I'm sure like you have to do every single day, some weird things to get the information out that I needed. So I took 2 screenshots that kind of, I would have been able to get from InfoSparks, which is not working. None of the products from that company are working right now. And so this is reflective of what sold single family in the month of October, this first slide. And the reason I'm showing it to you is because it's where I had to pull days on market, average list price to sales price, price per square foot. It's a very unusual way I would go about it, but it worked. And the average and the median sales prices. The next one, same info, but for condos. Okay, so as you come back, Evie will send this out to you. As you come back, that's why these 2 massive screenshots are in there, just to show you this is how I pull the data quickly if the other tools aren't working. All right, now this I put together to show you from 2016 to 2020, up through October 31st, what was listed versus what was sold. And the really big takeaway from here, Peggy always asks, what's the takeaway for each stat session, is to look at the final column, the difference column. So the top set of data is for listings, new listings brought to market. In every category except over 1.5 million, we have taken a significant number fewer listings in 2020 versus 2019. And we barely scraped above last year's number in the $1.5 million category. So that's the first indicator that our inventory is contracted because we have not brought more or even an equal amount on versus last year. The second set of data is the sold data. So same time frames, and yet what I highlighted in green are the price points where we've actually sold a significant number more. It's interesting. And I also highlighted 400 to 500 in the listing and in the sold because we lost the new listings significantly there. We're behind last year by 30%. And we also lost the solds almost by 30%. It's 29%. The only reason that those numbers are the same is because if we had brought 30% more $400,000 properties on, we would have sold them. So there's a direct correlation to what's brought to market and what's been absorbed. And this should just tell you to start out stats today that we are in an extreme and probably the most extreme fourth quarter of a year I've ever seen because of the significant lack of inventory. Every month I think, well, it can't get any tighter. It really can't get that much work. It can get a lot tighter. So this was as first thing this morning compared to last month about the same time. Even though we have more active detached units, we're not seeing a buildup of inventory. What we're seeing, and I'm sure movement can tell us about this, we're seeing that escrows are just longer. So the absorption rate is still incredibly aggressive, but instead of closing in 30 to 35 days, we're seeing 45 to 50 days.
Wow.
And that's, I'm sure, partly appraisal issues, underwriting issues, because the lenders are so busy. We're just seeing longer escrows.
Everything is taking a lot longer.
Yeah. The other thing that's not shown here, title too, right? If there's title issues, man, get on a PR the second you take a listing because title companies are backed up too. The thing that I can't really pull out of the MLS and report on consistently is what's canceled. I will just tell you from our office numbers, the number of cancellations are at an all-time high and they've been climbing since COVID. Now, most of those we get back in escrow, but it also extends the amount of time. So, you can't have a 30-day escrow if it cancels and then we have to put it back in. So keep an eye on that. And I know we were talking, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Clarissa's group of coaching clients I think there were 6 cancellations in a week and a half. So hug all those people. That's a lot to feel in one short amount of time. Over detached, same thing. We're over 1 million on detached. That inventory has shrunk down too. All right, this is for condos, and I put the price break at $500,000. You can see it's fewer available in both price points, and yet they're still moving at a very good clip. Okay, this is just the reminder that there's such a disparity between actual realtors in San Diego and those who are working. This is not improving. It's actually, I'm going to run this again in January for the last 6 months of the year, which will then only be coronavirus time. I have a feeling that number is going to be under 5,800 realtors who have closed anything. That's the good news. If there's good news out of here, that's it. At least competitively with other realtors, the competition's getting numerically smaller. And then I just added this script based on the price points where we're seeing inventory contract, where if I was hunting for listings, I would be hunting, and where if I was hunting for buyers, I would be hunting. All right, the big piece to take out of this slide is always on the right-hand corner, up in the upper right-hand. It's the only place I put in here where we can actually see the hard number for year to date. So through October 31st, in 2018, we had 43,045 new listings come to market. In 2020, we had how many less?
7,000.
That's significant. That is a significant drop. And even compared to last year, that's a 10% drop. What's interesting is the closing numbers, the solds, really aren't that far off. There's nowhere near the disparity in those numbers, which is why, again, that's the evidence that things have just really, really, really continued to contract. I am so confused right now because I have Amy Bloom on 2 different screens. Oh, there we go. Sorry, it was freaking me out. All right, so any questions on that as far as just the hard numbers of where we are? What do you see in terms of price point? So this slide is listed. What are the trends in terms of listings in each price point? Blue is 2018, red is 2019, gold is 2020.
Looks like the gold number is going down.
Yes, and it's really going down only under 700,000. Mm-hmm. Over that, we're actually bringing a few more. So I don't think our property types haven't changed. It's just the demand on our limited supply has really significantly risen our prices. And you'll see that when we get to the average price slide. I was pretty flabbergasted this month on that. Okay, same info. This is just for Russ, different visual.
Thank you.
Yep, and a little bit easier to see compared to just 2 years ago. Look where we were selling the majority of our inventory. And honestly, I'm just going to say that portion of our market under 500 is essentially disappearing. It's evaporating because their houses in general have exceeded that price point, and more houses than condos sell in San Diego. So it's getting tougher. Now, one of the good effects that we'll probably see, I would think by the end of 2021, and some of you won't remember this, but in 2017, the tax law changed. And I don't want to go into the whys, but we were limited in the state of California to writing off $10,000 a year in terms of our property taxes on our federal tax return. I have a feeling in the new tax plan that will be reversed. And so for those of us that are property owners, those of us that have clients who just couldn't make the jump for tax reasons, that likely is going to get loosened next year. So that's a really good thing, especially if you're looking at properties over $500,000. Okay. Listed 2019 versus 2020. Again, you can just see the extreme disparity under 600,000, under 700,000. And sold, same data, follows. Sold is almost always going to follow the trend of what we have coming on in new listings. We do not build up much inventory. Incidentally, there was a house that closed in October that was 14 million. So we don't get many of those in any given year in San Diego. And that did influence some of the stats this month. All right, 3-year trends by sold price. This one you can really see how many more properties were selling this year above 700,000. That we picked it up. We picked up the sales on the yellow line for properties that high, which is a little surprising to me because it's such a small number of people who can afford that kind of property. There's no way for me to go find this data, but I would guess a very, very large percentage of those are moving up from another property and coming in with a tremendous down payment, because getting a loan at that level and having a payment you can afford would require a massive down payment. Okay, this is our absorption slide. I'm gonna leave it up and not say anything for a few seconds. At least look and tell me what you see. Let me ask, what is a healthy absorption? And actually, anybody besides me who wants to say, what does it mean? What does absorption rate mean?
Well, the closer the two numbers, the better. Will they meet? The closer they meet would be better.
I would actually say no.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry.
Good guess, though. It's all right. Thank you. No, very good guess.
The higher the absorption rate, the quicker the properties are selling for, the less inventory will still be available in the market. And one thing I've noticed is that when you go in the higher bracket rates, over $1 million, the absorption rate becomes lower. And it's extremely high around the 500 to like say 700,000, 800, 900,000 range. And lower.
In order to have a balanced market that's, let's call it, more comfortable than what we have now, I personally would like to see absorption rates around 50%. So what we have at $1.5 million, that if you're dealing with buyers and sellers in that price point, it probably is a lot more comfortable than at $500,000, right? Because your buyers have more opportunity. They don't have to act quite as quickly. They have more choices. The higher that absorption rate gets, Medi's right, the more contracting the current standing inventory is, the more pressure on prices. And honestly, the more multiple offers, acceleration clauses, I mean, all this crazy stuff, the higher that absorption goes, the worse that's going to get. And I've never seen absorption rates this high, ever. And you guys, we can all go back and look at all these stat presentations I've done for 15 years. These are the highest across the board I've seen, and the trend is higher. What's crazy is this is October data. So it's not just October, it's not a snapshot of time. I'm sorry, this is a snapshot of time. This was just what closed in October. And typically, October, we've already really slowed down compared to the rest of the year. The fourth quarter is not the strongest in any real estate market I know of, yet these absorption rates were the strongest we've seen all year. Okay. So new listings. This was very surprising to me. Again, this is, I put in the number for each October going back to 2016. I was surprised how consistent this has remained in the month of October. But you can tell from the data, I wish I could point, this year we lost a lot of new listings in that initial COVID time. Look how deep that trough was earlier in the year. And we did not recover all of those listings that we lost in that time frame. However, we're kind of back on just historical norm at this point. as far as new listings go. Active listings, we are nowhere near a historical norm. This is what we're feeling. To just have 1 year ago, almost twice the amount of listings available, it's crazy. That is really crazy. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on the new listings? What are you guys feeling out there? Because unfortunately, I'm not out on the street, not talking to sellers. What's the feel right now? An election year also tends to throw us a little bit. People, in general, get stuck, lazy. They just don't do much movement for the 6 weeks surrounding the election, 3 weeks prior, 3 weeks after. What are you feeling that impact out there right now?
Ashley.
Yes, Linda.
Linda, you know, it's kind of weird. It's about, from my end, it's almost like 3 weeks prior to election. It seems to me like a couple of my listings that should get tons of showings, like it stopped. And now the election's over, it's still like have not really picked up. So it's, I don't know if it's just my experience or is that pretty common?
Well, historically that's common, and that's why I'm asking, because I'm not out there to feel it. But historically, we don't pick up speed again until the end of November. However, this is also an odd election because we have results, but we don't have the other stuff. So that might make people more hesitant for a little bit of time.
Got it. So that's pretty common then.
Very common. Okay. Because, and there's lots of reasons for that. Again, I have a client in South Carolina who last weekend put 2 properties in escrow he didn't think he would, because they're afraid of the tax consequences with the Democrat in the presidency. They want to make sure they sell their homes before, in their minds, capital gains changes. Mm. So you know, different people have different beliefs about what's going to happen, and until the person, whoever it's going to be, takes office, that people kind of get wiggy.
Got it.
Ashley, I was just going to offer one thought, if I may.
Of course.
I think the one takeaway for all of us agents is you're not allowed to accept the fourth quarter. We're going to wait till January. I mean, the sellers, there's no motivation to wait. It's just too ripe for the picking right now.
Say more about that. I think I'm clear on what you're saying, but some other people on here may not be.
Well, typically in the fourth quarter, buyer or sellers tend to push you away and say, we'll talk in maybe late January, maybe spring. Let's talk, let's wait for the good market in the summer, the spring and summer. Well, all this information is just what you need to say, this is what's happening, and don't miss this window of opportunity to put your house on the market. So our November, December should be crazy busy on the listing side. And it normally is not crazy busy, but we should really be educating and coming from contribution, educating them, do not wait, because Lord knows what will happen come February. It's too good right now. It's
too good. And honestly, Sue, that's a super, super good point. And I would actually just pull, if you are having that conversation, let me go back. I would pull, I'm going forward, not back. I would pull this slide from February, March, April of last year and say, look, we've never seen absorption rates like this. What this is telling us is you put your house on the market, it's going to go. And it's going to go probably over asking, because that absorption is so extreme. And show them if they think, well, summer's better. No, that's not what the evidence is showing us right now.
So Ashley, I'm thinking about more of a macro. One of the things that the conversation needs to go into so that everybody's aware. So Prop 19 isn't quite passed yet, but that's the proposition that allows people that are older, have equity in their house to sell and move to another place and not have the tax consequences in California. So that should free up some inventory. On top of it, one thing that doesn't get discussed enough is the amount of millennials are entering in the homeownership market into a market where we haven't built enough homes in the state of California or the US in the past decade, because when the last market shift happened in 2008, builders were pulling back on new starts. So a lot of this, so that's the macro. The micro is get really good at your skills, because you're going to have competition for the limited inventory, and be prepared to understand how to get a full 6% commission. Because as broker, I am seeing more and more listing commission instructions that I sign where listing agents on the other side are taking 1%, and you as buyer's agents are taking 2.5%, 3%. So these bad listing agents don't know how to get a 6% listing agreement, which is my point on that.
Well,
so
and a lot of this, I don't know a better way to put this. A lot of them drop their drawers right at the beginning of the listing appointment. They don't even try. They just go in pitching a 1% listing. Don't do that. Get with Steven and get your scripts around that, especially in this. I mean, if you're going to be reviewing 40 offers, you don't want to be doing that for 1%. All right, next, pendings. So if you remember, in September, we had that massive spike, which I don't know that we'll ever get an explanation for, but it was a massive spike for properties that went into escrow. And then October, in comparison, looks weak in comparison to September, but it's the strongest October that we've had, at least for the last 5 years, by a lot. So we are in a really good market, obviously. For many of us, this will be a record-setting year, which who would have thought in March and April that we would be able to say that. My point here is I want you all to be self-caring at a high level, because I know it's a crazy time. So be aware of counterbalancing, but I would also say plan on working hard through the end of the year, because there's a lot of opportunity there. And we know that at least in that next 90 days, the opportunity is there, and we don't have a crystal ball for past that. So make hay. And the solds, again, just kind of crazy. They follow, obviously, the pendings. And it's been a good second half of the year. So our median went up. I have seen in the 750s for houses as a median, only a couple times. 2 months ago was one of those times. We came down a little bit in condos. I was surprised. If you go back to the second slide that I had, that was the screenshot of the MLS. We had a condo in San Diego somewhere sell for $108,000. I would love to know where that was. I know exactly, Deborah. I didn't look it up to see where, but I sincerely didn't know we had anything that inexpensive left. So that one sale brought the median down a little bit. Everybody take a deep breath, because the next slide is the one that stopped my heart. Our average home went up to 1.03. We've never gotten over $1 million average single family sale in San Diego. I do predict that this will come back under $1 million. But to see that trajectory, going from April of this year to October, that's about as vertical a trajectory as you could get for pricing.
Well, when was the $14 million sale?
That was October, but even the trajectory prior to that, right? So what do you think why have we seen since April such a run up in our average sales price?
Because we don't have inventory.
Say that louder. It's a very simple answer.
Because we don't have inventory, and it's supply and demand.
And people are I'm going to say, overpaying, right? All right. Movement, Ed?
Well,
I'm curious, are we seeing any appraisal issues?
Yes, all the time. I haven't had
How
them
often?
all this time, and they keep coming in low.
Are we challenging them effectively?
We're challenging them. I've had one overturned out of about a half a dozen I've had in the past couple months.
Okay. So that's another thing to start talking, if you're not already, start talking about upfront. If you're the list agent, how are you going to deal with that? And if you're the buyer's agent, how are you going to deal with that?
It's a huge misconception out there is that, hey, I have all these pending transactions. Why can't I use them as comps? Because they're not a comp yet. So only things that have sold in the past, and that's before somebody goes out there and looks at a property. Does that count, towards the comps that they can use to justify the price?
Yeah. So Bob Fields, I would agree. So Susan says, it's obviously lack of inventory. We've got competition. It's going to raise prices. But certainly, if we didn't have interest rates as low as we have, that trajectory wouldn't be that extreme. Okay. Interesting, it hasn't happened on the condo side yet, but there's just a little bit less demand there.
Can I break in 1 sec?
Of course, Deb.
I had 3 phone calls when I had the listing in 92105 and I'm sorry, 92102, and then the condo downtown. I've had 3 appraisers call me in when I was in pending status, asking me about my property because they're trying to research for others. And so I found that very interesting. In the 5 years, I've never had that happen. So I guess they're really trying hard out there to make the numbers.
Well, I would not want to be an appraiser right now because you've got to satisfy the bank and there's certain requirements. You don't want to go out too far out on a limb. And if I wasn't in real estate and somebody just showed me in single family what's happened since April, would make no logical sense to me.
That's right.
Right. So and they're in the position of having to justify that trajectory. What happens? Just what if we lose all that gain by June of next year for whatever reason? What if we go back down to where valuation was in April? Everybody who underwrote or did an appraisal on those properties probably going to be in trouble. Make sense? That's why I'm glad they're doing their homework. All right, median active market time for houses, it's down to 9 days, and for condos, it's at 12.
Ashley?
Yeah.
Given that, like what you said before, people are overpaying right now, which it seems like what it is, do you expect prices to drop in 6 months or a year, or what are your thoughts on the matter?
It's a great question, Dave, and I don't exactly know how to answer it. When I see that, I go, that's not sustainable. However, I've also been saying that for the last 4 years. So to see a trajectory as steep as it is for the single family, that's not sustainable. At the same time, we don't have the inventory that should level our pricing out. Without increased inventory, the only option in supply and demand is for the prices to keep going up. I personally hope they inch up and stop springboarding like this.
Right.
But
if interest rates go up, then we'll see less demand.
Yeah, well, true. But I don't think interest rates are going to go up. The challenge now is they really can't go down.
Right.
Right. So they're about as low as they actually humanly can get. And I do think that just with all the instability and COVID and everything else, there's actually, let me ask, because Ed knows the financial markets in the world so much better than I do. What would it take for the Fed to say we're raising interest rates? Where would we have to be?
Starts creeping back up over 2%. But you have to understand too that our rates are so tied in globally too. If we piss China off enough and they start dumping our treasuries on the open market, our rates go up. Russia did it to us March of last year, and we couldn't figure it out for months. Why did interest rates spike? And it turned out that they dumped 90% of their treasury bond holdings in the open market, and it spiked our rates, and we have no control over that. But with all this money that's being pumped into the economy, it's going to catch up to us at some point.
At some point, but I don't think, I think we're probably pretty safe for at least the next 12 to 18 months.
I think so too.
Because the whole globe is looking at just controlling this damn virus.
Right. But also keep in mind too, that if someone does, if someone does pay a higher price now, because the rates are so much lower and they're paying much less in interest, they're paying a greater amount in principal. So that forced savings aspect of that home that they're purchasing, of that investment that they're making, they're forcing themselves to save a greater amount of money every month by owning that asset. Does that make
really
sense?
good point.
Even if it's a little bit of a higher, if it's a little bit of a higher price, it works out in the long run even better for them because they're paying less interest on that higher price.
They're paying themselves instead of paying the bank.
Correct. Just a
Really
different
good
kind of
point.
spin on having that conversation with somebody. And I gave you guys a link to that 10% versus 1% difference in interest rate versus, you use that, you know, I mean, it works. People understand it when you put that into perspective.
Use it in the price point that your people are actually buying. Like, do the math for them in the price point where they're at.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
All the stats that you have, is this limited to San Diego County?
Yes, this is only, and I'm doing quotes, air quotes, local data. This is not all of the MLS. This is just San Diego County.
Okay, thank you.
And I wish I could get more micro, but it's so time intense. I can't get any micro than that on a consistent basis.
I have a question, Ashley.
Yep.
So for those of us that are not from California, is there something that, you know, we're missing that we hadn't just caught on to yet as far as these stats, or is this life and that's just the way it's going right now?
I go a little bit deeper on the question.
Yeah, so as far as us, you know, not being from California, you know, when you live in another state and you meet somebody from California, you know, they give you all the glitz and glam, you know, you should buy a house here because of that, this, you know, this, that, and the third. I mean, is there kind of like something that as a realtor, new realtor here in San Diego County with these trends, I mean, is that basically just supply and demand at its simplest form for the most part?
Kind of. So that's a great question. And because I get to coach people all over the country and I'm intimately involved in what's going on in their markets, what our trend is right now is not unusual in larger metropolitan areas, even if it's in the Midwest. You know, Chicago pretty much follows these lines, New York, San Francisco, any of the LA, even places in Florida. The difference is we have no more buildable land. So where Chicago actually has been following our same trajectory, their downtown market in the last year, because of COVID, has flopped. Like, they had 4 months of inventory and now they have 24 months of inventory. And that happened just this year. And it was just the downtown area. However, that impacts the rest of their MLS, right? Our downtown area is small in comparison to the rest of the county, so it won't ever have that much sway for the overall county statistics. We don't have additional land to put single family homes on, and COVID has made single family homes very, very preferable.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so that, by the way, probably in my lifetime, that's not going to change because it would take so much local governmental action to ease up zoning restrictions, which I don't see that happening seriously in the next 40 years. So part of me says we are insulated. That price, I hope, doesn't continue to go up at that trajectory, but there's nothing that tells me it's going to come down. I just want it to, the increase to flatten a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then there is something we always have laughed about, which is in California, you've got the sun tax. You know, regardless of what people want to say, people are moving from here to Texas or here to Arizona. A few are, but still people move to this state because of the weather and the culture and all the other stuff.
Yes, thank you.
And if we get federal tax relief again, I think that will even put more pressure. All right. Month supply has remained consistent, and yet it's nuts. For houses, we have 1 month of supply, meaning if we stopped listing homes today, we'd sell them all by the end of November. And for condos, we're at 1.6 months. What is and this was predicted for houses, we're at 100%. Very few things are selling under value, under list value. Condos are right at 99%. So let's see, let me go back. Because I only show you guys the stats up through the end of the month, I'm curious what you think happens here. So if you look at active listings, so the active inventory at the end of October for houses was 2232 and for condos was 1652. And the other numbers I plugged in are, again, every October back to 2016. What's the trend? What usually happens to available inventory after October? To go up or down for the rest of the year?
Down.
Down.
Yeah. And significantly, right? It is not, if you look at 2016, that's about 1,000 unit drop from 5,600 to about 4,600. If that trend continues this November, this December, and January, and we're already at a low of 2232 and 1652, I think it's very feasible. We could see by the end of January, under 1,500 houses available and under 1,000 condos available. If I just look at the trends that typically happen. So Susan, back to your point, why is it a good time to put your property on the market right now? Because if we just look at historical data, we lose 1,000 units between November, December, and January. If you are representing buyers right now, take a deep breath because it's about to get even more challenging. All right, questions, comments, ahas?
I wanted to
Stephanie.
also add a part about we have the sunshine tax, but we also have a huge international buyer that I think also impacts our market more than many others, and especially because for the most part, they're cash buyers and they're bringing big dollars into our housing market at all price points, especially at the $1 million and above. So I think that's another piece of why our market's kind of what our market is.
Yeah, what's interesting though, all the way up through LA County, the same thing is reflected. But Orange County is no different than us right now. It's all of that Southern California lack of inventory because there's just not a whole lot left to build, which again, long-term insulates all of us from major dips. Anything else? No, y'all are still quiet. All right, it's 2:32. Just because we're going into purple tier, I'm going to go get a haircut just in case. Everybody stay safe. Seriously, it's getting a little crazy out there. This particular round, I would really like to be able to get through it and say nobody in our office contracted coronavirus. Nobody lost a family member. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.